Friday, September 26, 2025. My name is Judy Herrera, and I'm in Camarillo, California. It is my honor and pleasure to interview Steve Schuman on behalf of the Conejo Valley Chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution, and Colonial Dames 17th Century for the Veterans History Project with the Library of Congress. This video is being recorded by Ed Lynch from Advana Videography and contains the reflections and memories of the veteran during his time in the Navy. This is Steve's story. Steve, you were born August 15, 1956 in Chicago, Illinois. You were the oldest of 4 children, born to Lloyd and Mary Schuman. You attended Lane Technical High School in Chicago with the emphasis on forge, welding, and your passion, electronics. Do you want to pick up your story there?
I'd be happy to. High school years, besides the shop classes that I took, I didn't know that electronics would lead to my career path at that time, but it wound up happening. Besides that, I was in scouting for a number of years, Boy Scouts. I played some sports, cross country and basketball in high school. Upon graduating, talking to my father, and I knew that he served in the Navy. I had an uncle, one of his brothers served. His oldest brother was in the Army. I have another great uncle that was in World War II. Was recognized for valor or bravery. So my father basically took me down the recruiter, and he signed, because I was 17. It was 2 to 3 weeks before my 18th birthday. So, but talking to the recruiter, I found out, well, I did study electronics in high school, so I had an opportunity to take a specialized electronics test, and I did well enough so that when I went in, I was guaranteed an electronics rate, one of 4 different rates. And that's how I became a fire control technician, basically a missile radar operator.
So where'd you go to boot camp? Where did they have you go?
Yeah, I started off, I was in Great Lakes. Of course, I grew up in Chicago, so I was, a short train ride away. I spent my 13 weeks in boot camp there. I went to my A school, basic electronics, Navy electronics. And that was another 13 weeks. That was, except for a duty day, I would have, a lot of evenings off. A lot of the weekends were free. And my mother always was like, how come you're not coming home for the weekends? It's like, well, because Wisconsin had an 18-year-old drinking age, so. And I was right there. So. But in fact, my father said, you know what he's doing, But yeah, from there I was given orders to the USS Buchanan in San Diego, and I flew out, went out to the 32nd Street base, and went through, got checking in through the base, okay, and then that's when they told me, well, your boat is actually not here anymore. It's in Long Beach. You're in the yards. So they gave me a bus ticket, and I'm from San Diego. I went up to Long Beach, and I spent the next 8 months or so in the shipyards. Basically a fire watch. I was one of the new guys in the division, so it was like, yeah, I lugged a giant CO2 bottle around with a civilian contract welder, and would just follow him around in case little fires start with all the welding, and it was massively tearing the ship apart. I did get some, we'd have civilian, they were upgrading radar, the system that I wanted working on, but that was more the guys that were first class and above my rate at that time. So
Where did they have you living?
we lived, you could live on the ship. They would close off, plastic off the area, so you could live on ship. But a lot of guys wound up hooking up with someone and renting a place together, so you could afford to rent. And then we were just it was 9 to 5, except they would still make you have a duty day. Stuck on a ship in a dry dock. But after that, we went through our refresher training, engine testing and gun testing and missile testing, everything on there, going out towards San Clemente Island and shore bombardment, and then sometimes out for a few weeks, sometimes just a few days, anchoring in the harbor at San Diego, and you're still not getting off the ship.
You're stuck.
But you could see nightlife right there, but no, you were, and after that, we wound up going back to San Diego, which was the home port, and then not too much after that, I went on Westpac and went all over the Orient.
Did they give you leave before that? Have you seen your
I did,
parents
yeah. I mean,
at all?
every year you would get at least you would get two weeks, so I would always go home.
Okay.
Usually around Christmas,
Oh, okay.
just to see family and all of that. But yeah, all the ports, seeing all those ports overseas was amazing. It made me realize how great the United States was too. I mean, it's nice to visit places, but you just see where our country's at compared to a lot of the other places around the world. And I was, it just impressed me. That until you're there, you don't realize it, and then so you see it and you live, you see how they're, where they're at, and realize, wow, Now, I'm sure Europe's different, but the Orient was back then much different.
So let's think about what time. So you graduated from high school in '74. You did a 26 weeks of boot and A school.
Yeah.
So now year 2. Are you is
Yeah, but
75?
Well, the second year was mostly in the yards.
Oh, that's right.
And then after the yards was in San Diego, and it would be you would go out and do. Sometimes you'd operate with some other ships, kind of back and forth, but in port, and probably most of the time. But,
So when you got to go abroad, it's probably about
it
1977.
was my third year. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what were some of the ports that you want to tell us about?
Went to well, in Japan, I remember Fukuoka and Yokohama, Pattaya Beach, Thailand, Kaohsiung, Taiwan, Subic, Philippines, Hong Kong. We were supposed to go out to Australia and South Korea, but we had a refueling accident and wound up limping into Guam, and we lost a month of time in Guam.
Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was basically we separated, and when the ship separated upon refueling and resupply, one of the lines was not disconnected, and the line wound up snapped, it was cut, and fell in the water and wrapped around one of our screws, and the ship shuttered, and we shut down, and we had to wait. It took a couple days. Divers came out, and they said, yeah, we did like 3 knots from halfway to Hawaii and the Philippines, headed to Guam. Now we're just limping along, and got to Guam, which you could see in like a day, maybe 2, and you've seen the whole island. We were there for a month.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, that was not the best part of the adventure, but all the other places were, were just amazing.
So how did you keep in touch with family and friends when you were out?
Yeah, back then it was once in a while a phone call. I wasn't a great letter writer, but once in a while, sometimes a postcard or a letter. My mom always wished it was born. My dad thought it was just enough, so.
How was the food?
Okay, I mean, it's, you hear stories about, how it's, but it wasn't bad at all. We had one of the cooks was a great baker on our ship, so when we did run out of bread, he would make it. I love that better than all of the bread they bring on. This guy could bake. But yeah, I mean, but you know, everything I learned, the people I met, that I served with from around the country, the another foothold in the electronics field that I had just started in high school. I started to realize more that this was probably going to be my career, and you know, you grow up in the military. You know, it's you got at least a place to sleep and you got your square meals, but you're learning. You're learning from the people you're working with. You know, I grew up, you know, and when I wouldn't change it for anything. I think most people most young men would do well to be in one of the branches of service, I think.
Yeah, I remember you telling me something about you also got to be a mess cook for a while.
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I worked with I was on the ship's chiefs mess, so it was just me and one other guy. We would take care of the chiefs. I was like a 3-month, because I was the low man in my division. A lot of the guys would do an extra year of school. They'd sign up for 6 years, so they would come out as E4s. Well, I went out to the fleet as an E2. And so yeah, when it was time, our billet, we had to send someone. It was Steve Schuman. So that wasn't bad, you know. I mean, you would help cook breakfast for them. You gather their, kind of pick up, some of their stuff. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it was just extra duty though. You are stuck with them, you know. And of course, when you pull into port, if it was your duty weekend, you're stuck for the weekend. And all the chiefs are worried about is where's my civvies, and they want to get off the ship, and you're stuck.
Wow.
You get to see everybody come back on Monday morning,
Okay.
I don't know, is there anything else that you could think of?
Oh yeah, so that was year 3, and then year 4, what was going
I
on?
remember, it was, then I was damage control petty officer for my division.
Okay, so what did that entail? Tell us a little bit more about what that meant.
That was, I would have to take care of all of the peripheral things in our compartment, being fan rooms, cleaning fan filters, resealing watertight doors, checking for any, if there anything had to be repainted, or just repairs on lighting. I'm trying to remember, but it was just a catch-all kind of a thing. But it still was important to the integrity of the ship. They do major inspections every so often, making sure that your area, my division areas that I was in charge of taking care of, that the doors in the event of something going sideways, are going to seal, and that was the biggest one. But also the fans, all of the fan rooms. Everything besides the radar electronics itself. It's kind of what I did for about 3 months there. So mess cook for 3 months, damage control petty officer for 3 months. And then operating the radar system, tracking. When we were on Westpac, we wound up, there was a helicopter accident in Korea at the DMZ, and we rang the peninsula. They sent our carrier group there, and we were just tracking everything. We went into battle stations, and it was 24/7, and any contact assigned, we would track them, and then we would we could see, hey, this is a jet, and they'd go, yeah, light it up, and you'd see them turn around. Sometimes they would be trying to jam us, or things like that. So we knew it was Russian MiGs. Just they were just letting us know. I think back then, hey, we're here too. But Yeah, they never got rid of our radars, you know, the ones that we locked on. But there were other ships there also. That whole area was being tracked. So that was a fun thing, except for the fact that on the way leaving, a typhoon came through, and we decided to. They took our whole group and they kept us on the outside of it because they wanted to do radar tracking exercises, seeing shielding with weather, but the seas were horrible. It was horrible. That was like a week, you know, of just a cork in a bathtub.
Did you get do you get seasick? Did you get
The
seasick?
only time I'd feel a little bit is when I'd be in a real enclosed space, like when I would clean the fan rooms. You know, you get in there and very enclosed area, and sometimes a ship rolling. But no, it never really bothered me
You
much.
mentioned your carrier group, so maybe tell us a little bit more about the USS Buchanan, what kind of ship it was and what it entailed.
Yeah, we were a frontline destroyer, about 300 crew of about 300. We had two 5-inch 54 guns, one forward, one aft. We had a double rail short. It was a tartar missile system, which back then was the shortest range surface to air. We had ASROC and a submarine rocket, which would basically shoot torpedoes out into the water, and they would turn on. Those were nuclear capable. You never knew if you had them, but those ASROCs were nuclear capable. And we also had port and starboard torpedo tubes. So yeah, between the guns and torpedoes and ASROCs and missiles, and the whole ship was basically engine room, fuel, and ammo.
Wow.
And little places for men.
So what were your quarters like?
Very 3-rack high. And you'd get out of the rack, and there would be a rack right across from you. You had maybe 3 feet between the two of you. So, I mean, it was very tight spaces, very tight spaces. Yeah, you know, living with a bunch of stinky guys, so, you know.
So that
Navy showers.
yeah. So year 4, that would have been your final year. What were you doing that last year? Do you remember, Joe?
The last year was when I was damage control.
Oh.
That's when I was considering if you know, my time was becoming short and you know, was starting to count down. I had just finished damage control, so basically all I had was normal duty days, and then maintenance on the radar system, things like that. There was a cash bonus that they offered if I was going to re-up, because they wanted to keep guys that they had been through, that knew electronics, and you know, and I was considering it, except for the fact that my rate was such a seagoing rate that if I signed up for 6 more years, I was going to do another 4 at sea. Okay, I'd get 2 shore, but then now I'd be at 10 years, and now if I sign up, I'm going to sign up for 20, because I didn't see any reason of going for 10 years and then walking away. And I wound up, I turned down enough money to go buy a vet, and I left the service. I did think about it though, because it was $16,000 then. You know, and I was just turning 22, so
A lot of money.
I seriously did consider it.
Wow. So it's now 1978, and you decided to leave the Navy. And where are you at?
I'm in San Diego.
San Diego. Okay.
I stayed in San Diego. I wound up, that's where my first daughter was born. Still would go back and see family, but you know, once I left home, you know, they say something, you can never go home anymore. You know, it was a different life for me. I started my own life, and it was always nice to go back and see everyone, but I built a life for myself out in California.
So what made you come to LA? you left San Diego.
My daughter was, my first marriage ended in divorce. My daughter and my ex had moved up to LA, and I was commuting a lot of weekends to see her, come drive up to LA, pick her up, back down to San Diego, turn around, bring her back. And finally, it was just, I quit my job and I moved to LA. I took a job in LA, and so I could see my daughter more, and that's in LA is when I met my second wife, who I've been married to 37 years, 36, 37 years. I've known her about like 40 years. And we had a daughter together, so I brought my daughter, she had a daughter, and then we had a daughter together, so.
3 girls.
Yeah, 3 girls.
Yeah. So when you keep saying you're getting a job, tell us about those jobs. How
I
did that?
worked in defense electronics a lot when I first got out, whether it was bench testing, power supplies, servo motors, things like that. I worked in a calibration lab that was tied to a company that was military contracts. I did that for years until that would have been like in the trying to remember, I could be off a few years. That would have been until my mid-30s. Yeah, 33, 34. They started cutting back on defense spending, and a lot of those jobs were going away. I was lucky enough to get a job in a wireless microphone, wireless intercom manufacturing company, and I went in there, and it was kind of like, wow, I could just specialize in this one little area, and I moved up pretty fast in there. And they had a customer who bought a lot of equipment from us, and he would see me all the time. He seen I was kind of like lead engineering tech, and he approached me, said he has his own company, he wants a technician, he's looking for somebody that knows this equipment. And I took a chance, and I cashed out, and I bought in on this company, became a minority partner, and but it grew. We grew the company, and I was able to retire, and they send me a check every month, and I get usually some kind of a bonus at the end of the year. So I'm really happy because like having electronics, that career, that choice, it never would have happened if I didn't go into the military. Or it would have, but that just the way my life turned out. I think the Navy being able to allow me to continue it and still have a place to sleep and eat.
Yeah. Right. Well, you were getting more experience.
And teaching you even more about, of what I learned in electronics. So,
starting off in high school and on through the military. So, if you had to, reflecting back on everything, then what would you say was your reflection then on what the military impact on your life, and not just as a young man, but
yeah, like
today.
I said earlier, I went from a boy to a man, and I went in, as 18. I turned 18 in boot camp. I didn't know anything. I thought I did, but you start working with a lot of men, and you just learn. It's so much. Your father teaches you a lot, but just the sheer amount of people you're working with, and the responsibilities that you're given sometimes, and there's no such thing as failure. And when you have people backing you up, and you learning, and you're getting confidence, and you're getting better, it was a great thing. That's why I wanted to do this, because I just tell a lot of people I I took it for granted maybe a little bit when I first got out, and then I realized as the years have gone by how much it informed me what I did, the things I got to see, I reflect back on a lot of that. And that's why I would say, I tell any younger teens sometimes that if I'm talking to them and they don't know quite sure, so many go to college and then they graduate and they're not sure what they still want to do. And it's like, the military, you'll know, especially when you're getting out. By the time you're getting out, you'll know. It's like, because you've been apart so long, it's not like you're going to be able to go home. You couldn't go home. You couldn't live at home anymore.
Yeah.
So you grow up.
On the job training, it
is
a lot to be said for that. Your lifelong career choice in electronics.
Yeah.
And it gave you an opportunity to meet people from other countries as well.
I did. I met, I met a few interesting people, and Japan, and one guy I wrote back and forth for quite a while, and he sent me a little box with a sake bottle and a cup.
Oh.
And just kind of commemorated, because I met him there, and he was trying to learn English, and so I would have a red-blooded American German. Hey, beer. Okay.
You want to talk a little bit about one of your younger brothers also went in the Navy. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I met him. In fact, I met him. He was on the. Trying to remember what was he, the Coral Sea? I can't remember. I can't remember what. He was on a carrier though, but we met in the Philippines. And and his ship was in, my ship was in. He wasn't part of my carrier group that I was with, and I was able to go out have drinks with my brother in the Philippines. He was a boatswain. He went in 4 years, same as I did. So he was about 2 years after me. And then my brother Roger wound up going into the Army, and he was another 2 years after that. He spent some time in Germany when he was in the Army. So myself, my two brothers, we all served.
Do you keep in touch with any of the men from your ship at all?
I did. There's a couple that I did for a while. Chris got to meet him, but some of it's a little hard when you don't get to physically see them.
Yeah.
It's better now with I guess if you were being grown up more with computers and being able to communicate like that, where I'm better one-on-one.
Yeah. In person.
For periods of time I could do, it's okay, but I don't know, it's just kind of different. I'm more of a face-to-face person. But sometimes I wish I probably should have reached out more to some of them, but life goes on.
Yeah.
It goes by fast.
It does go by fast. So did you, taking advantage of the career choices, then you, you stayed in electronics for a while until things started winding down with the military, and then you made that career choice to go into the remote ones.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was from that company that built those, and then going into the rental business of wireless microphones and wireless intercom systems. I worked all throughout LA, all the major studios. Eventually our contracts, we had the Tonight Show, Ellen, Jimmy Kimmel, So You Think You Can Dance, American Idol, Masked Singer, these are all shows we have or we still have. Anything that was live, we did all the major award shows. The Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys, We also did industrial things like Google, Microsoft, because we actually developed, over time, we developed our own antenna system. So we could cover whole back lots. We did live back lot shoots where, so a massive array of antennas would be stuck out. And we could, through getting technical, but it's kind of what helped our company grow. And so between what I knew about electronics and having a partner that's money wasn't an object, let's keep working, let's keep doing this, we come up with a system that really helped our company grow. And so all of those are all our continuing customers. So yeah, we went from, it was my partner, his son, and me, and started a little storefront, and now my company, Soundtronics, is, I think there's a total of, counting Dave and I still being there, even though we don't work anymore, there's 13 or 14 people now.
Oh, nice.
We have a lot of employees, like 11 hourly employees.
Nice.
So
So let's.
and that's a nice thing too, that you built a company that provides some work for people.
I was just gonna say, give people jobs.
And and some of the young guys I trained up now, they've kind of taken my spot, and I know they're making good money. I mean, when you're on the shows, the pay is good. The hours are crazy, but the money it's very profitable.
Okay. Let's cycle back to you and your brothers all being in the military. I'm just thinking as a mom, how did your mom feel about having 3 sons in the military and off around the world, and how did that go down?
Yeah, I think I went away. She had a sense I wasn't coming back, I think. But my other brothers did come back, so and we're back in Chicago. In fact, my one brother wound up moving right next door to my parents for a while, for a few years. Him and his wife wound up were there. I was the gypsy. I'm the one that never came home. Yeah, I know my mom was. She was resigned though to that. It's like, hey, but my dad served.
Yeah.
He said my sons are. I mean, unless they're gonna get like if I was gonna get a scholarship somewhere, or you better have a job, because when 18 was coming around, it was like, you're not gonna, what are you doing?
Yeah.
When you do it, 15, 14, 15, hey, you knew, and he would always remind you, that window's closing, time's coming, so.
Well, it sounds like the Navy was a good choice for you, Steve.
Yeah, no, it was, and I didn't want to continue on school. I was decent in high school, but I mean, I had pretty good grades, but I don't know. I wanted to work. And then of course the adventure. I wanted to go in the Navy too. Was I wanted to be able to see, see somewhere, whether it was going to be Westpac, or if they put me on the East Coast and I went to Europe or the Mediterranean. That would have been fun too, because I met guys too and talked to them. So one thing in the Navy gives you, well, not all the ships go, but.
Is there anything? Do we have enough time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to add that we haven't talked about that?
No, I don't know. I feel like I've been rambling a little bit, but
no.
You're doing great.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Yeah, I don't know. Just to say, I mean, I'm really glad I decided to do it. I'm glad you thought, that you thought of bringing me into this program. I mean, and I've heard of the Daughters of the Revolution.
Oh.
I didn't know, that they were tied into doing things like this. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, getting veteran stories out there is important.
Yeah.
I think it's important, and we all do. That's why we do what we do. But we appreciate your willingness to share your story.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard the United States ship Buchanan, DDG-14. This Tartar-guided missile destroyer's keel was laid in April 1959, launched in May of 1960, and was commissioned at the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, Bremerton, Washington, on February 7, 1962. The USS Buchanan is the third destroyer of the United States fleet to carry this historic name. She is named in honor of Captain Franklin Buchanan, U.S. Navy, a fearless and brilliant naval commander during the Civil War. He was born in Maryland in 1800 and received his midshipman's warrant in 1815. During his career, he had many commands, and he was the first superintendent of the Naval School, which formally opened in 1845 at Annapolis, Maryland. Franklin Buchanan, while commanding the Susquehanna, the flagship of Commodore Perry's East India Squadron, played an important part in the conferences that culminated in the signing of a treaty with Japan. He was promoted to captain in 1855. During the Civil War, he was promoted to admiral in the Confederate States Navy and was captured in action on his flagship, the Tennessee, at Mobile Bay. He had a long and distinguished naval career which ended in May of 1874. This ship proudly carries his name. It is the purpose of this presentation to describe to you the ship, her equipment, mission, and capabilities. Further, it will include a brief description of the basic operation of the integrated weapons system during a simulated tactical situation which involves the use of the Tartar missile. The mission of this class destroyer is to operate offensively with strike forces, anti-submarine hunter-killer groups, in support of amphibious assault operations, and as a screening unit for support forces and convoys. The designated tasks of the Tartar-guided missile destroyer are, first, to destroy aircraft at medium range, either alone or as a part of a coordinated air defense system. Second, to detect and destroy submarines, either alone or as a part of a coordinated anti-submarine warfare system. Third, to destroy ships or shore targets. And fourth, to provide light gunfire support for amphibious forces or troops ashore. She is 437 feet long, has a beam of 47 feet, and a draft of 22 feet. Her full load displacement is 4,500 tons. She normally carries a complement of 18 officers and 316 enlisted men, many of whom have received special training in the weapon system in factory schools prior to their assignment to DDG duty. Her engineering plant consists of 4 high-pressure boilers employing automatic combustion control. She is powered by 2 35,000 shaft horsepower turbines, which give her a speed capability in excess of 30 knots. Her armament for defense against enemy air attack consists of the improved Tartar-guided missile and 2 5-inch 54 guns. The improved Tartar missile, Mark 15 Mod 1, is a rocket-propelled, supersonic, surface-to-air missile. This missile employs homing guidance with tail control to guide it to an intercept with a target. The missile carries a high explosive warhead which is detonated by a proximity fuse. 2 5-inch 54 caliber rapid-fire single guns, located fore and aft, provide the ship with an additional air defense capability. These guns are capable of firing 40 rounds per minute at an effective range of approximately 6 miles and to a height of 35,000 feet. The ship's primary armament for destruction of enemy submarine forces consists of the ASROC anti-submarine rocket. This is a supersonic rocket-propelled missile with either a torpedo or a depth charge payload. This ASROC gives the guided missile destroyer the capability of delivering a weapon against a submarine while remaining outside the range of the submarine's torpedoes. 2 sets of 3 torpedo tubes on each side of the forward deckhouse serve as a backup of the ASROC in the DDG's anti-submarine warfare armament. The guided missile weapons control system consists of 3 main parts: a weapons direction system, 2 gun or missile fire control systems, and a launching system. The weapon direction system, Mark IV, is the point of entry of a target into the weapon system. This weapon direction system receives and displays early target information from any of 3 search radars: the AN-SPS-37, the AN-SPS-10, and the AN-SPS-39. Because of its superiority as a designation radar, the AN-SPS-39 is the primary source of target information. The weapon direction equipment consists of 4-man consoles in CIC, or Combat Information Center. 2 of these are identical target selection and tracking consoles. This is a view of CIC. The console that is not shown here is a target selection and tracking console, which is located out of the range of the camera to the left. The other 2 are the Director Assignment Console and the Weapon Assignment Console. Data is displayed at the Target Selection Console, where the targets are evaluated and assigned to the Target Tracking Console. 6 manual, rate-rated tracking channels, which are shared by the Target Selection and Tracking Consoles, provide the data displayed at the Director Assignment Console. Targets tracked by the 2 target designation transmitters are also displayed here, as well as repeat-back information from the fire control systems. In addition to the PPI presentation of slant range and bearing for each target under track, displays are provided which include the length of time the target may be engaged, altitude, and speed. The relative threat is evaluated and the order of engagement is decided. Directors, either gun or missile, are assigned. Target position and fire control data are displayed on the Weapon Assignment Console. This is where the launcher is assigned to the appropriate fire control system, and firing orders are generated. The second major part of the DDG's guided missile weapon control system is the fire control system. This class destroyer carries 2 identical fire control systems. The Mark 74 Mod 0 gun and missile fire control system consists of a Mark 118 Mod 0 computer and 2 Mark 73 Mod 1 directors mounting the AN-SPG-51 radars. The primary function of this fire control system is to track and illuminate designated targets and to generate launcher and missile orders. The secondary functions are to feed back tactical information to the weapon direction system and to supply orders to the ship's 5-inch 54 battery. The final part of the DDG's guided missile weapon control system is the launching system. The Mark 11 guided missile launching system is used to load the missile magazine, as a stand to hold the missile during checkout, and as a missile launching device. Now that you have seen the basic components of the ship, we would like to take you through an example of the tactical use of the Tartar weapon system. Envision, if you will, the DDG on picket station. The ship, having been alerted to expect an enemy air attack, is steaming at general quarters. The ship's long-range air search radar scans the sky for air contacts. This is Combat Information Center. Here, the air search operator has just detected an inbound, unidentified aircraft. He relays the range and bearing of this target to the long-range air plotter. The track of the unidentified aircraft is displayed on the long-range vertical air plotter. The evaluator adjudges the contact as unfriendly. The target now passes within the detection range of the SPS-39 air search radar. This radar is the primary input to the weapon system as it provides information in the 3 coordinates of range, bearing, and elevation necessary to position the tracking radar. The bandit continues to close and is being plotted on the short-range air plot. As it enters on this board, the bandit also comes within the detection range of the SPG-51 tracking and guidance radars. The evaluator informs the weapons liaison officer that the bandit has been designated a weapons target. The liaison officer passes this information to the weapons control officer by phone and directs the target selection and tracking console operator to assign a tracking channel to the target. Number 2 target selection and tracking console operator tracks the target by positioning his pantograph over the target echo of his repeater. The missile fire control directors are at ready air awaiting a target designation. The weapons officer orders the director assignment console operator to assign Channel Charlie to Fire Control System 2. The missile fire control switchboard now automatically positions switches to send the information from Channel Charlie to Director Number 2. The computer associated with System 2 begins to program the director in an automatic search about the designated bearing, range, and elevation. Director 2 slews to the designated position, searches for, and acquires the target. The radar console operator locks onto the target and begins tracking. In the Tartar Launcher Control Station, the operators on the loader control panel and the launcher control panel have positioned their switches for automatic cycle. As the target approaches Tartar launch range, the weapons officer orders the launcher loaded. The launcher goes to the load position, the blast doors open, and the rammer chain extends into the magazine. As the rammer chain is retracted, the missiles are loaded on the launcher. Warm-up power is automatically applied to the missiles on the launcher arm as they reach the fully loaded position. On the bridge, the commanding officer orders right full rudder to unmask the missile battery. And the ship goes into a hard right turn. The target is approaching launch range of the Tartar missile. The weapons assignment officer assigns the launcher to Fire Control System 2. The launcher is synchronized with the computer orders, and a firing rail is selected. Based upon the information that there are no friendly aircraft in the sector, the commanding officer gives the order, missiles free. The target continues to close. stabilization appear normal. Target acquisition occurs and the missile heads on its path toward the target.
Stand by for intercept. Stand by for intercept. Mark intercept.
The missile intercepts the target at maximum range, and one more target destruction is credited to the Tartar missile system. I am sure that you recognize that this description of the detection, designation, launch, and intercept of the target was not in real time. That is, the actual time that it takes for these interrelated actions to occur is far less than the time it takes to describe them. Therefore, in order to show you clearly the chain of events leading to the target destruction, it was necessary to describe the actions in slow motion without following the sequence in real time. This completes our tour and description of the USS Buchanan. We are justifiably proud of the ship and have been happy to show you her equipment and to describe her capabilities. We hope you have enjoyed your visit. Thank you.